you've touched on the role of lobbyist Ankit Desai, but we haven't really explained that. So can you tell us who is Ankit Desai?
So Ankit Desai is ex-Biden aide. He is a lobbyist that is very close to Senator Mark Warner. He was close to the now convicted Senator Bob Menendez. And he was also close to a gentleman called Amos Hochstein. Very important person in the whole energy sector, because he was in the nexus of everything that was to do with Russia, to do with sanctions, to do with Venezuela and Iran.
But that's because of his official position, right? I mean, didn't Biden appoint Amos Hochstein as
Amos, yes, but not
as
Ankit.
his energy czar,
energy
right?
czar, but not Ankit.
Right.
So Ankit,
And Ankit was a Biden aide when he was a senator, when he was vice president.
when he was a senator,
Oh, so there was a long
history, yeah. And he basically was, taking millions of dollars. I mean, he represented TikTok.
Which is basically like representing the CCP, right?
Exactly.
Because if a Chinese company owns it, the CCP controls that company.
Yeah, so he represented TikTok. He represented Truth after he was sanctioned, and he represented the Venezuelan oil program for getting the special sanctions to continue to fund allows the sale of Venezuelan oil. And so he was doing things that was incompatible activity with the United States national security.
In what sense?
He was giving a legal way for people like Troost to communicate his way, whatever lies he was telling, to people in the United States government.
In power.
In power. And he was lying to the media. Keep in mind, he filed this form. It's called the FARA form.
The Foreign Registration Act. Right?
Online. I mean, you can download it online. And he almost showed expenses of $600,000 in 3 months. That's also online. And what I would really like, we talked about this. Trump has talked about the weaponization of the Justice Department, weaponization of the government. And what I would really like is if the Justice Department, the Trump Justice Department, can investigate Ankit Desai.
For what?
Source of money. Where is this money going? Is that money being sent back to, is there a deal between him and Warner, him and Bob Menendez, him and Amos Hochstein? And figure out what other relationships are they there.
But the Biden administration, they can't just investigate everything. So what would be the impetus?
Not the Biden, the Trump administration.
Well, the Trump administration. I mean, they're investigating treason, seditious conspiracy, right, and subversion throughout the United States government, which is still going on, by the way. So what is so significant about Ankit Desai and what he has done?
If you want to understand how the sanctioned oil and people like TikTok was being allowed to basically spread their false narrative in the U.S. government, it is important to understand the people that were being paid to pass their messages. And Ankit Desai was a key person in that story.
Yes, and of course, platforms like TikTok, which are super popular, and especially among young people, and that gives them an extraordinary amount of power. And so being able to use these platforms to shape the narrative.
Not just TikTok, but also talking directly to senators, to members of Congress, to members of the administration, and to continue to tell the lie.
And which lie in particular? Can you give me an example?
For example, just about me. To talk about whatever Neil Strauss fed him and repeat those lies to media, to repeat those lies to different government departments, to allow for TikTok to not be banned for working in the United States, for allowing the sale of Venezuelan oil that propped up the Maduro regime for years. And
which was counter to U.S. foreign policy.
Exactly. And to allow these special exemptions that someone like Ankit Desai has been getting.
So is this what they do? The United States government sanctions a particular country for a reason. And then you have these lobbyists. What these countries do is they hire people who are lobbyists, American citizens, and they use them to pay off members of Congress. and people in the administration, whoever's in power at the time.
That's right.
And Ankit Desai has a long history.
Has a long
of
history of
doing
doing
this.
this. Yes, he had a long history of doing this. And I don't know all the facts. I'm not the government, right? But I
Yeah.
would like the government to figure it out. I mean, who's the gentleman that Trump has appointed now for figuring out the weaponization of the Justice Department?
Ed Martin.
And that would be something great for Ed to investigate.
Yes, I mean, and it's the kind of thing that Ed Martin would investigate because, I mean, the Ed Martin that I know, I've known him for a number of years, is a man of moral courage, and he's not afraid of this kind of thing. And he doesn't.
Yeah, and
he's not.
and he should look for where all the money came from. Where did no? This is the other thing. How Truce was sanctioned at the time when he hired Ankit Desai. How is a sanctioned individual wiring money to the United States? How?
Yeah, because that should violate every
Law.
right. That should set off
That
red
should set
flags.
off red
in-
flags.
Yeah, for the Treasury Department, for the Department of Justice.
Exactly. So how's that happening?
How is that happening? That means, well, what it says to me, and you tell me if you agree or not, that says that he has top cover.
I don't think so. I think they're just nefarious. I think they're just using other front proxies.
So I see, this is something that they do, isn't it? That they create layer after
Layer
layer
after layer after layer. And it's just proxy after proxy after proxy.
So, a journalist investigates this company and it goes nowhere because that
It's
company
changed.
became something else and then it became something else.
It's the exact same thing they do with sanctions. They sanction that company and they make another company. So
Of
company
course.
A gets sanctioned, the company is called C. C gets sanctioned, they call it E. E gets sanctioned, they call it F. And they keep changing the name, but the ultimate people who control the show are the same people.
Yes, the Ankit Desais of this world.
That's right.